doing it in a golf cart. He's driven all the way to Indy in it, but with no win indoors, he can now hit his usual 7-iron from 150, not go up a club to hit 6 into the wind. Back to
each of the past 2 games, and both were immediately converted into touchdowns. That's Humphrey, number 25 to the left. Duell Brewer joins him there, number 26, as Pete Stoyanovich prepares to kick it off for the Dolphins and start the game. And we welcome those of you who have watched New England's destruction of Buffalo. The Patriots keeping the heat on the Dolphins in the AFC East. And as for the Bills, well, you can't quite yet turn out the lights on their playoff hopes, but they are, to say the least, on life support.
Well, it's sad that they have to go out that way, Jim. It's been a tremendous legacy, 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, and I really don't think people comprehend the magnitude of that, despite the fact that they never won a big one. They've totally dominated the AFC, but there had to come a time that the guard would change, and evidently this is the year.
They got Bledsoe today. This is Humphrey with the football. He holds on to it as he fights through 2 tacklers and gets across the 30 to the 32-yard line. Short kickoff, 18-yard return. Indianapolis looks this way as they begin on offense. Cecil Gray getting to start at right tackle today in place of the injured Zephros Moss. Offensively, 40% of the offense has come from Marshall Faulk, and he's the only rookie headed to the Pro Bowl this year. And when they go to a 3rd wide receiver, it is Aaron Bailey who will get a lot of action today, replacing Mark Jackson, although they start with Jackson on the field. Harbaugh on 1st down 10 from the 32, fakes to Faulk, and throws in the flat where it is dropped by Roosevelt Potts. Miami defensively, and the Dolphins still getting great play against the run from rookie defensive tackle Tim Bowens. They want him to improve his pass rushing skills. The Miami secondary tied for the lead in the NFL with 21 interceptions. Brian Cox shifted to middle linebacker early in the year, goes to the Pro Bowl. Frankie Smith is the 5th defensive back when the Dolphins go to the nickel. On 2nd down 10, Harbaugh throws complete to Faulk, and Faulk is wrestled down after a gain of about 5 yards. It'll be 3rd down 5 for the Colts as Dwight Hollier made the stop for Miami.
One of the things that the Colts wanted to do is go to the hurry up, and here they are. They isolate Faulk out here at the flanker position, but 2 tacklers are there, and despite his elusiveness, he could not get away from Dwight Hollier.
So now 3rd down, big reason for the quarterback change for Indianapolis. They've been 6 for 35 on 3rd downs in their past 3 games. This time, Harbaugh converts over the middle to Faulk, who makes his 49th reception of the year before Aubrey Beavers brings him down.
In talking to the number of the defensive coordinators around the AFC, when they discuss Marshall Faulk, they are absolutely in fear of his speed. But one thing they also agree with is that maybe the Colts are trying just a little bit too hard to utilize him as a pass rusher. This is where he's effective. This is where he's frightening in the I formation.
11 yards on the play. Colts go with the hurry up again. This time Faulk running the ball from scrimmage for the first time. Fights for a couple before the middle of the Miami defense, led by Marco Coleman, is there to stop him.
What I mean by that is that everybody tries to compare Marshall Faulk to Thurman Thomas during his more successful days with the Buffalo Bills. Of course, when Ted Marchibroda, now coach of the Colts, was the offensive coordinator. During that time, yes, they did go with Faulk out at a wide receiver, Thomas, from time to time, but it was sporadic. The Colts have been doing much more consistently, and there he is again, Jim, out on the flank.
2nd down 8. And jumping is number 91, Jeff Cross, or 99, Chuck Klingbeil came across. Klingbeil relies on that quick start. Very effective against the run. And they call it against the Colts.
Repeat 2nd down.
Joe Stasniak, someone who is, they weren't sure that he was going to start today because of an injury. Watch the right guard position shuffled. I didn't see it at all. I don't know what the officials saw. Maybe you saw a deep breath.
Stasniak back in position. And 2nd and 8 becomes 2nd and 13. Harbaugh under pressure, now out of the pocket. And using his athletic talent to get close to a 1st down across the Dolphin 45 to about the 44-yard line. Gene Atkins coming up to make the stop from free safety.
Jim, nobody has ever debated his ability to run with the football. One thing that Jim Harbaugh has is a certain degree of athleticism. The knock on Harbaugh has always been his decision-making process, his inability to read coverages and go downfield. There you can see clearly that despite his 6-7 years in the National Football League, he hasn't lost much speed.
12-yard gain on 2nd and 13 brings up 3rd and 1. Colts converted their only previous 3rd down. Lamont Warren, number 21, now in the game at tailback. And it's Warren who has the football.
Nice hit.
Has the 1st down and nothing more as Brian Cox snuffs it.
You mentioned at the top of the show, Brian Cox, his career high in tackles this year, that one being his 132nd. Brian Cox is absolutely fearless. And interesting, too, for those young people that haven't been paying attention to this game, this is how a 40 time can be overrated.
Well, the spot of the ball.
This is a man who ran the 40 in 4.955 flat. And everybody talks about how, well, you know, you certainly can't play in the National Football League on defense at that. Brian Cox proves that it can be done.
Premature credit for the 1st down given by the play-by-play man. Let's see if the measurement shows, and it does, that the Colts are a couple of inches short.
Not a big decision here they're going to go for. One thing that I don't like here, and this is the pattern throughout the National Football League, when you jam in, take a look at they're going to go with a 3 tight end offense. When you jam so many people into the box, that affords the opposing team to do the exact same thing. Why not go with your natural set, go with your wide receivers, spread people out and create some gaps for your running backs.
Colts 10 of 15 this year on 4th down conversions, and Harbaugh appears to have this one.
Well, Harbaugh is typical now of the quarterback of the National Football League. There are no more Fran Tarkentons or Joe Theismanns at only 6 feet tall, 180 pounds. These people now have to be 6'3", 6'40", and about 220. And take a look at the body of Jim Harbaugh powering behind his center, Kirk Loudermilk, for the 1st down.
So the Colts finally convert on 4th down, and now Harbaugh with 1st down just inside the Dolphin 43. Mott stays in to block. Pass is complete to number 85, Floyd Turner. And Turner has a gain of about 8 before Michael Stewart knocks him out of bounds.
Interesting point here, Jim, is that if you notice that on the wide receiver is Michael Stewart, who is the strong safety. Normally when they go to the flank, the strong safety is going to go onto the running back, in this case Marshall Faulk. Instead of flip-flopping, just to show the respect that they have for Faulk, they left their cornerback J.B. Brown on Faulk instead.
2nd down 2 after the gain of 8. This is Faulk.
Oh, what a move. What a move. Look at that shake and bake. That is some sweet feet.
Troy Vincent drags him down from behind, but Marshall has another Colt 1st down at the 25.
Your point is well taken here. I don't know if he's going to get any better at this. You saw the little shake there. He just dropped Vincent in his tracks, and at the last minute, he's able to drag him down. I dare say, Jim, the only guy that does that better is the guy number 20 up in Detroit.
John Dawkins to the bottom of the screen. Faulk again with the football. And this time, the Dolphins read the running play. Klingbeil with that quick reaction from the nose tackle position.
One of the things that happens, the play before, you notice Marshall Faulk did it on his own. This time, he's supposed to go behind the fullback. He decides to leave his blockers, and he pays the price. This is what Kirk Loudermilk talked with us yesterday about, the center right there, number 63 for the Colts. He said the Marshall Faulk has to be somebody who's a little bit more disciplined to understand the ramifications of the offense.
Injured player for the Colts. All right, Greg, you saw the numbers there for O'Donnell. 3 of 3 for 57 yards. Randy Dixon leaves the game for the Indianapolis Colts, and now the Colts go to Eric Malum, a rookie out of California, at the left guard, number 65. 2nd down and 11 yards to go. 11th play of the drive upcoming. Harbaugh and the Colts moving on the 1st possession of the game. Here's Faulk, who has contributed 27 yards to the drive up to this point. He's got a gain of about 5 here. It'll be 3rd down now for Indianapolis.
Notice that time, Jim, that he stayed with the blocks. He was right where he was supposed to be. Now they go into the hurry-up, and that forces Miami to keep their dime package off the field, go man for man with Faulk.
It's called a gain of 4 on the scoreboard, and 3rd down 8 now. He can get the football to the 15-yard line. Harbaugh overthrows. Intended for Kerry Cash, the tight end. Michael Stewart was right there on the coverage, and Harbaugh hit the turf as well.
Kerry Cash has really struggled this year with an ankle injury. A very effective pass-catching tight end. Right to the right of your screen, he runs the short corner. He actually has the time, just overthrows him. Of course, Harbaugh does pay a price here right at the last minute. Both Webster and Beavers are in his face. They did have the time to deliver it.
Yep. With the team changing to accommodate Falk, Todd, the Colts in the offseason would like to get an aggressive run-blocking tight end. Biasucci, along with holder Ron Stark and center Brad Banta on the field to try a 40-yard field goal. The veteran Colt kicker, 14 of 18 on the year. And this time, it was Tim Irwin who wound up with the football with the loss and creates the opportunity for the Dolphins to move with pretty good field position. Another look, Todd.
Difficult situation. You don't want to have that happen, but the old man comes through with a big block.
Dominoes.
Coming off of Tim Irwin's field goal block, the Dolphins begin their first possession of the game at the 31-yard line. Bernie Parmalee with the football. 127 yards against the Chiefs last Monday night, but only about a yard here before Bernard Whittington made the stop. The field goal block. Tim
Irwin, the 14-year veteran, look at him right in the middle. He was acquired by the Dolphins because of injuries to the offensive line. Former starting offensive tackle for the Minnesota Vikings proves that even at the advanced age, you see it, the salt and pepper beer, and that's a happy man right there. Big play for the Miami Dolphins.
7th field goal block of Irwin's lengthy career. So it's a bit of a specialty for him. Dolphins picked up no yardage on first down according to the scoreboard. Go on 2nd and 10. Marino down the middle to Parmalee. And he'll be short of first down yardage as Jeff Arad, number 54, drags him down. Miami offensive line, Richmond Webb and Keith Sims on the left side go together to Honolulu for the Pro Bowl. And Dan Marino and Irving Fryer are going to Honolulu as well. Keith Jackson is the second alternate at tight end. When they go to a third wide receiver, it is kick returning star O.J. McDuffie who'll come onto the field. McDuffie at times this year has started ahead of Mark Ingram. Ingram retrieved the job with that 4-touchdown catch performance against the Jets in New Jersey a few weeks ago. Third down and 2 yards to go for a Dolphin first down. Ingram in motion. Marino gives to Parmalee, and they make a good hole on the left side as Parmalee gets the first down across the 45 to about the 47 before David Tate made the stop. Quick look at the Indianapolis defense. Bernard Whittington getting the start at left end today, the rookie replacing the injured Freddie Joe Nunn. Stephen Grant has had a terrific year. Colts coaches say he has been the best tackler against the running game. Ray Buchanan has become a star at cornerback. Ashley Ambrose is the 5th defensive back when they go to the nickel. On first down 10 from the 48-yard line. Marino gives to Parmalee again. Parmalee escapes some difficulty behind the line of scrimmage and winds up picking up about a yard. Whittington, number 95, there to help with the stop.
Every time Bernie Parmalee has rushed for 100 yards this year, Jim, they have won. Clearly, that is something that has been a boon to the offense of the Miami Dolphins. And had he stayed healthy and started earlier in the season, you saw the numbers. Clearly, he would have been over 1,000. But 204 short coming into this game. They feel like they've got a shot to get him the ball enough to be the first 1,000-yard rusher since 1978 when Delvin Williams did it.
On second down and long, Ingram out of the game. Mike Williams replacing him. And Marino's throw is going to be called incomplete. Jason Belzer, number 29, the free safety, was there to make a big hit. Fryer, the intended receiver.
Interestingly enough, talking with Bill Tobin yesterday, he mentioned that one of the things that they wanted was a big person in the secondary that can hit. Well, Jason Belzer, son of the great special teams player for the Kansas City Chiefs, Caesar Belzer, delivers the blow and says, hey, I might not be big, but I carry a big stick.
And you saw Buchanan, 34, lined up on the weak side of the field to match against Fryer. The Colts will try to get him head-on-head with Fryer as much as possible today. Now 2 wide receivers to the top of the screen and 2 to the bottom for Marino on third down and 9. Plenty of time. Down the middle, terrific catch by McDuffie. And McDuffie, who is rapidly becoming a Colt killer, gets it deep into Indianapolis territory on a 30-yard gain before Eugene Daniel made the stop.
O.J. McDuffie was the one who made the big 28-yard catch in that final drive to afford them the opportunity to beat the Colts earlier in the season. You're right, terrific catch. Eugene Daniel should have been able to make the play, it appears. You can see the frustration as he bangs down his hands on the turf. Interesting, when we talked to him about this particular touches and first down thing, O.J. McDuffie said it was very overrated because most of his plays occurred on third down. And then not 5 minutes later, we're chatting with Don Shula, and he says, can you believe that third down thing with regards to McDuffie? It's very funny.
Shula thinks it's big. On first down from just inside the 22, Parmalee goes and fights tacklers off to get a gain of about 3 before he's knocked to the turf by Tony Siragusa.
One of the things that Parmalee has, surprisingly enough, at 5'11" and 205 pounds, he has a certain escapability. You notice that his running style, it's not terribly fast, and he's not ultra quick, but what he does have is great power in his legs. And in talking to the defensive players around the league with regards to Parmalee, they say that is a very understated part of his game, that he breaks tackles in a very subtle way.
3-yard gain on first down, second down 7 for the Dolphins. As you can see, the football is just inside the 19. They need to get it to the 12 for a first down. Saxon went in motion, finally takes the football from Marino and has a gain inside the 15 before David Tate makes the stop for the Colts. No, it's outside the 15 at the 16-yard line.
And speaking of understated parts of their game, take a look at Dan Marino's escapability. He's somebody that probably runs the 40 in a day, but it doesn't matter. Watch as he slides to his left at the last minute, gets the ball to Saxon, so McCoy does not afford the loss. Now, the Miami Dolphins are the second least sacked team in the National Football League, and a lot of people assume that's because they have the great offensive line. But in reality, a lot of it has to do with the quick release of Marino and his ability to move his feet and escape the rush.
The near incredible stat for the Dolphin offense this deep into the season. No touchdowns in the first quarter all year. And now with new personnel on the field, facing third down and 5, Marino wants timeout and a chance to talk with offensive coordinator Gary Stevens. So Shula, watching from the golf cart with the injured Achilles tendon, will be back. As we bring you back to the RCA Dome, the Miami Dolphins on their first possession of the football game against the Indianapolis Colts face third down, a short 5, a long 4 yards to go from the Colts 16-yard line. Ninth play of this drive. Marino trying to hit Irving Fryer, and Fryer couldn't hold it in front of Ashley Ambrose at the 5-yard line.
Far be it for me to be critical of something here with regards to the Dolphins, but when they go to the blitz, this has always been their blitz read, which is run the slant. Ambrose, who hasn't, basically comes into the nickel situation, not a starter, comes into exactly what was coming. Made a great play on the ball.
And back home again in Indiana, former Indiana Hoosier Pete Stoyanovich, 20 of 27 on the year for the Dolphins, a long of 50. He'll be kicking out a punter John Kidd's hold as he tries this 33-yarder. Fourth field goal of the year for the Dolphins in first quarter play, but the streak is preserved. They haven't scored a touchdown in the first period all year. All right, Greg, and here in Indianapolis, the Miami Dolphins have capitalized on a 33-yard field goal attempt by Pete Stoyanovich to take a 3-0 lead with 3:34 to go in the first quarter. Stoyanovich kicks it off. Ronald Humphrey with the football. Plenty of room across the 30 to about the 34. 30-yard return. And the Colts will start with good field position after Chris Green made the stop for the Dolphins tonight. Kirk Douglas and Coach on NBC.
I really enjoyed him and Greedy. He was a lot of fun in that show, along with Michael J. Fox playing that cantankerous fellow.
You've been renting movies at your local video outlet, Todd.
No, actually, I think I saw that
in a theater?
Spectrovision.
Oh, I see. Okay, I started to say, if you saw it in a theater, it places you in a relatively small minority. First down from the 34 for Harbaugh and the Colts. The pitch back from Potts to Harbaugh. And it's almost picked off. Sean Dawkins unable to beat Troy Vincent down the sideline.
Watch how quickly they do it. That's the reason why they weren't fooled. Watch how quickly he takes the ball and hands it right back. He needs to take an extra step. Instead, he handed it back. And as a result, Vincent is completely unfooled. Running stride for stride. Look at Vincent at the right moment. Turn and look and almost pick this ball off. That is outstanding play by Troy Vincent.
A truly great cover guy, as he has proven since having finally regained his health. earlier this season. 5 interceptions on the year already for Troy Vincent. Harbaugh now 3 of 6 for 23 yards. Colts operate on 2nd and 10. Bowens almost came across, but managed to stop himself. Now Dawkins has his first catch of the game, and a pickup of about 5 yards before J.B. Brown makes the stop for the Dolphins.
Just goes to show that the Colt offense is really pulling out the stops. You saw in the first series about 4 different formations, plus the no huddle, and that's what they're doing here again. Falk flanked out on the left, trying to spread things out and afford them some more opportunities in the middle of the field.
Now it's 3rd down 5 from the 40. They need to get the football almost to the 45 for a first down. Colts 1 of 3 on 3rd down, make it 1 of 4.
Might be a little bit early to mention this, Jim, but one of the downsides, of course, of the no huddle is that puts your defense on the field. And the basic idea when you play the Miami Dolphins is that you want to keep Dan Marino off the field. As a result of the no huddle here, that's going to afford him more time on the field to create the kind of big plays that the Dolphin fans are used to, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on the Colt defense.
Ron Stark in his 13th year out of Florida State. Another serviceable year as the Colt punter. 63 kicks, 42.4 yard average. O.J. McDuffie waiting inside his 15-yard line for the Dolphins. McDuffie will let this one ride. It takes a Colt bounce. And let's see where the officials will mark it. It looked for a moment as though Gray was going to blow the opportunity at him. Yep, he failed to down it.
And what always amazes me about this is that you see this play over and over and over again, and for whatever reason, guys just can't seem to handle it. All he has to do in that case is just bat the ball in, let somebody touch it, and keep his feet outside the goal line. Time and time again, we see this, and in their effusive energy, they want to do it so badly that they get their feet in the end zone. Take a look here. Derwin Gray, former member of Brigham Young University. Great hustle down the field. Now right there, he loses it, but as he's touching it, his butt is over the goal line. That's what the official sees.
First man out of bounds to come in and touch the ball.
Take a look again. Here's Derwin Gray. Watch the play that he makes.
Result of the play is a touchback.
Right there, his feet are on the goal line. That's where you saw the official come in and drop the beanbag, and as a result, it's a touchback. Great effort nonetheless by number 30.
And it winds up being a 60-yard punt for Stark, equaling his longest of the year.
Well, Ron Stark is somebody who's in the top 5 all-time in both punting average and number of punts, which just goes to show that his longevity is not simply the fact that he's been there, but he's been extremely effective. 43.8 career average, which is outstanding.
So the Dolphins begin from the 20. And Marino is going to be sacked. Number 61, Tony McCoy, third-year defensive tackle out of Florida. Coaches say he has had an excellent year, and it continues here.
Well, here's the cliched coverage sack, Jim. Plenty of time. 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. There it is. Had plenty of time, but the coverage by the Colts, outstanding.
The 2-yard loss makes it 2nd down 12, 5th sack of the year for McCoy. O.J. McDuffie comes onto the field for the Dolphins as the Dolphins go 3 wide. Screen, Parmalee. First down. Gain of about 15 yards before David Tate made the stop for Colorado.
Just as we talk about the great job in the secondary and coverage, this time it's a poor job of coming up to make the tackle. Screen play to the left. They do a good job of disguising it, but the people don't come up in the secondary quick enough. Harrod takes himself out, gets blocked. Belzer does the same thing, overruns the play, and at the last minute, Tate comes in to make the tackle, but not before they get the first down. Poor job of pursuit by the Colts.
Well, at a 16-yard gain, it brings Marino for the day to 56 yards passing, 1 yard away from the 4,000-yard mark for the year. First down now with the football at the 34. Does he go over 4,000 yards here? No. Looking for a touchdown as Irving Fryer got hung up downfield with Jason Belzer.
This is a matchup to take a look at today. Ray Buchanan, somebody who is not in the Pro Bowl, an absolute travesty against Irving Fryer, who is the hook and go move. Look at how deep that hook is. Now, right there, a little bit of a collision. The ball is in the air. You could argue that one, but you know what, Jim, I'm so tired of all these calls this year that should have gone the other way. I'm for the non-call. I'm glad they didn't throw it.
Buchanan, in his second year out of Louisville, playing only his 5th game at the corner today, has emerged as a potential cornerback superstar. Interceptions in each of the past 5 games. He's run 3 of them back for touchdowns. Second down 10 for the Dolphins. McDuffie again on the field. Dropped by Mike Williams.
Mike Williams right in front of the man you just mentioned, Ray Buchanan, and maybe he anticipated somebody closing a little bit more. This is a deep hook route. You can throw this when you have a guy that has the laser gun of Marino, hits him right on the chest, and all I can think of is maybe he was thinking that Buchanan was right behind him, because clearly that was a catchable ball.
So Marino goes to 4 for 8 for 56 yards. Again, still 1 yard away from the 4,000-yard mark. It'll be his 6th year, more than 4,000 yards passing. Aaron Craver, number 44, is on the field as the 3rd down back. Dolphins looking for 1st down yardage on 3rd and 10. Pressure on Marino. Throws it in and out of the hands of Ashley Ambrose, who almost had the pick.
Well, Jim, I guess we're going to have to wait till the next series to see if he's going to go over 4,000. When you mentioned that, I assumed, well, it's going to happen here the next couple of plays, but give credit to the Colts secondary. Second big play on the part of Ashley Ambrose, trying to look downfield, dumps underneath, and he could have had this one picked off. Williams actually makes a good defensive play to prevent that turnover by the Colts.
Now John Kidd on the field to kick it away for the Dolphins, and Duell Brewer waits at the 21-yard line for the Colts.
Some room.
Brewer from the 26 gets upfield across the 50.
No flags, Jim. No flags.
74-yard punt return for Duell Brewer.
This is one of the things that concerned the Colts all year long, is their inability to get good punting. They let go of Jim Arnold in place of John Kidd because they felt that Kidd could provide a little bit better punting. Instead, he has the low kick. Brewer gets a run at it. They make the blocks, and he's gone.
And the Colts have been lamenting their lack of speed at the kick return positions. Maybe Brewer will cause them to think twice now about looking for new punt return answers in the offseason. First career return touchdown for Duell Brewer. Biasucci to add the extra point. It's now been officially called a 75-yard punt return touchdown for Brewer. And out of Stark's hold, Biasucci is good to make it 7-3 Colts. Still 23 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
One of the big keys is to get a run at it to start with. You saw that he caught it on the run. And because he has momentum, once he gets past that first wave of tacklers, he is gone. Sean Hill gives it a run, but Brewer really shows his speed coming out of the broken tackle and going the distance. Big key there, of course, is the punt by Kidd was short and low. Brewer and the Colts special teams take advantage of it.
So the first-year pro out of Oklahoma, Duell Brewer, has his first punt return touchdown, and the Colts have a 7-3 lead in Indianapolis. Find out what's happening elsewhere. Let's go to New York and check in with Greg. Cardinals find a passing attack by giving it to Garrison Hurst and letting him throw.
Well, he was somebody that I thought was going to be a star when he came into the league. I thought he was going to be absolutely tremendous. Hurt the knee, has really struggled his first 2 years in the league. Maybe now he's coming around.
Colts kickoff team finally coming onto the field after a long delay. Miami Dolphins here in Indianapolis in hopes of clinching a second AFC East Division championship in the past 3 years. Now find themselves trailing 7-3 toward the end of the first.
Jim, I have noticed this year in particular, and I don't have the statistics in front of me, but certainly those that watch football consistently will say this: we have seen more kick returns for touchdowns this season than I can remember in recent memory, and a lot of that has to do with the emphasis on special teams and the new kick rules. A lot of that has to do with that, and you're going to see a lot more people now in the National Football League, a lot more duel brewers that are going to be in the league because they have specific skills in the kicking game. You're going to have professional special teams players.
Did you see Mel Gray's return for the Lions yesterday?
I did.
Artistically, got to be one of the great kickoff returns of all time. Taking the football at his 5 is Irving Spikes. And Spikes, who was sensational returning kickoffs in the preseason, hasn't had quite that much success in the regular season, but he gets a 21-yard return to the 26-yard line. The Dolphins will start from there. Brewer was downfield to make the stop.
And it's interesting, too, Jim, if you notice, one thing, too, in previous broadcasts, you know, when we did this before, 25-yard line now would be a decent return. Now it's a poor return. More and more we're seeing people set up at the 35 and 40-yard line. The kick position is a big issue.
Saw the scores at the bottom of your screen. The Patriots, with their victory over the Bills today, keep the heat on the Dolphins in the AFC East. Parmalee on first down. Tony Siragusa makes the stop for the Colts. Parmalee with the gain of about 4. It'll be 2nd down 6, and the first quarter comes to a close. Dolphins continue not to have scored a touchdown in the first quarter all of 1994.
John Kidd, the punter. Interesting here, you see him working out, and Jim, a lot of that has to do with the fact that that previous punt, it was a 41-yard kick, but it had barely 3 seconds hang time. He wants to rectify that next time so they don't get a repeat of Brewer's performance.
So he's practicing putting a little more air under the football as the Dolphins move on 2nd down, 6 yards to go from their 30-yard line, trailing 7-3 in Indianapolis. Bernie Parmalee is across the 35 to about the 36-yard line. Stephen Grant here to make the stop from outside linebacker for the Colts. Parmalee will be about a half-yard short of a first down, so it'll be 3rd and 1.
Let me ask you something, Jim. I'm interested in your opinion here. You've got arguably the greatest quarterback in the game. Do you continue to give this guy the ball 25, 30 times a game and maybe take the ball out of Marino's hands to have him throw only 25 times? Or do you continue to do what they've been doing in the past?
Parmalee gets the first down and will move the chains for the Dolphins. Jeff Herrod making the stop for the Colts. They've only been to the Super Bowl once with Dan Marino. It was back in 1984. They should try a different formula rather than Marino throwing the ball 45 times a game and being therefore too predictable on offense against the opposition.
I think that that's a very cogent point, but of course the dilemma that you have as a coach is when things don't go well in the course of a game, do you want it to hand it to somebody like Bernie Parmalee, who is a free agent from Ball State, or do you want to give it to your Hall of Fame quarterback? And therein lies the dilemma.
If you get Parmalee started toward a 100-yard rushing game in the first and second quarters, then that limits the chance that things can go wrong in the second half, as they have so many times.
You and I had a very elaborate conversation with Keith Sims, the left guard of the Miami Dolphins, and he said, we've got to stick with the run. We've got to be committed to it. We just can't use it a couple of times and then fall off of it. We've got to have that be an integral part of our game. And of course, I would have to concur with him, because you look at the last 2 Super Bowl winners, Dallas Cowboys, what's the thing that stands out? The league's leading rusher, number 22, Emmitt Smith. Take him away, they're just another team.
Again, on the ground, this time Irving Spikes. A little bit of a change of pace from Parmalee. Spikes slightly more explosive, not quite as fluid as Parmalee, and he has a gain of about 7.
You and I had a chance to see him earlier in the season with his coming out, so to speak, against the Green Bay Packers. Irving Spikes shows his quickness. The play is designed to go left, but he cuts back to the right, avoids John Hand. Grant and Buchanan stop him, but not before he gets 7 yards. He made this team as a free agent out of northeastern Louisiana after a 1,500-yard senior season, but nobody drafted him. He proved his worth on kickoff returns where he averaged over 45 yards in the preseason.
They call it a gain of 6. It's 2nd down 4 with the football at the 42. McDuffie in motion. Spikes with the football again. Can't break the tackle of number 54, Jeff Herrod, and it'll be 3rd down short for Marino and the Dolphins.
Despite the ankle problems that he has had, Jeff Herrod is headed for a season of probably about 185 tackles. He had 171 coming into this game. Takes on the lead block of James Saxon and comes off to make the play. The argument where Herrod is concerned is they say, yeah, he piles up the tackles, but a lot of them are downfield. Well, a lot of that was due to the fact that throughout his career, he didn't have healthy people in front of him. Here is somebody, a man from Ole Miss, who really hasn't been given his due as an inside backer, Jim.
Parmalee back in the game on 3rd down and a long one for the Dolphins. It's Parmalee with the football. He breaks the tackle behind the line of scrimmage and gets the 1st down near the 50 to move the chains again for Miami. Belzer and Buchanan making the stop, and Parmalee proving the worth of the running game there.
Just going to show that 3 for 4 now in 3rd down conversions. David Tate does a great job coming up from the secondary dives, but Parmalee able to jump out of the way and get the Dolphins the 1st down, keep the offense on the field. And Jim, I mentioned it earlier in the 1st quarter, if they continue to convert that well on 3rd down, sometime at the beginning of the 4th quarter, the Colt defense is going to be fatigued, and it's going to be a problem.
Parmalee had 19 carries for 127 yards last Monday night against the Chiefs, including the 47-yard run that broke the game open for them late. Here he gets it again on a pitch and is slowed down by the penetration of linebacker Quentin Coriat, number 55. Ultimately, Tate makes the stop for a gain of about a yard.
Jim, that's very astute, and that's why I say sometimes the tackle situation is overrated. Quentin Coriat refused to be blocked. He kept contained. Parmalee had no place to go. Watch to the right of your screen, number 55. They're going to try and hook him. They get Bennett down, but look at Coriat. He fights off Richmond Webb, pushes him back inside where Stephen Grant, who many people feel is playing the best football of any Colt linebacker, makes a tackle.
2nd down and a long 9. See if Marino will go back to the air here with Jackson in motion. Play fake. Marino throwing, complete. It's O.J. McDuffie with the football, and McDuffie's out of bounds short of the yard marker. Eugene Daniel makes the stop, and 4,000 yards for Marino on the year.
And McDuffie makes a catch that's not a 1st down. Jim, how about that? But he is the one that gets him over the 4,000-yard mark, and McDuffie does something that every receiver coach tells you to do: come back to the football.
Well, the reason that he didn't make a 1st down there, Todd, is because it wasn't 3rd down. So he didn't have that perfect record of 3rd down touches at stake on the play. If Marino were to go back to him here, it would be a different story.
Ironically, that 4,007 yards you just saw, that was the original number of yards for the guy that the first time he went for 4,000 yards, Joe Namath. The exact same number, 4,007, back in 1967. But now, huge play in the middle of the line, stopping them, forcing 4th down, and it appears, Jim, they're going to go for it.
Yeah, how about Tony Bennett on that play against Parmalee? A terrific tackle to stop Parmalee for a yard loss and make it 4th and 2 instead of 1st down.
Particularly impressive when you cite the fact that Tony Bennett is listed at 6'2", 242, and he's going up against Richmond Webb at 6'6", 300 pounds.
Dolphins will go for it on 4th and a short 2. Scoreboard calls it 4th and 1, and Marino needs timeout.
One thing I like what they're doing here, Jim, is at 4th and 1, instead of coming in bunched in with a 3 tight end situation, they've got them spread out, putting the dilemma on the Colt defense.
9:34 to go in the half. We'll be back.
Buffalo wings, and we'll deliver them with your favorite pizza. When it's got to be good, it's got to be Domino's.
As we return to the RCA Dome, the Miami Dolphins are facing 4th down and a long 1 yard.
And notice, too, Jim, here, even at the timeout, they decided to stay with their 1 tight end, 2 back set. Interesting to see here what the call is going to be.
10th play of the drive of the preceding 9, 8 have been runs. But Marino throws for the 1st down. Complete to number 82, Mark Ingram. Jeff Herrod was there to make the stop, and Ingram was alone in the middle.
I know that there are a lot of quarterbacks in the league, Jim, that have confidence in their arm, but this guy has to have the absolute most confidence there is. 4th and 1, a lot of different things he can do. Watch to the right of your screen. You're going to see Ingram, when he comes in motion, is just going to find the dead spot in the zone. Marino does a great job looking to the outside, making the safety move away. Herrod makes the tackle, but it's too late. Another 4th down conversion for the Dolphins.
14 out of 20 4th downs converted this year by the Dolphins. That was a 6-yard gain. And now Marino throwing again, intended for Parmalee. And Jeff Herrod is there to cover and prevent the completion.
Jeff Arad is one of the inside backers who throughout his career has not only been a run stopper but has stayed in on coverage downs. It really says a lot for his skill, because very rarely now, Jim, in the National Football League do you see an inside backer stay in on third and more than 2.
This drive for the Dolphins follows the 75-yard punt return touchdown by Duell Brewer of the Colts that's given Indianapolis a 7-3 lead. 2nd and 10 from the 36. Parmalee effective today, but stopped for a short gain there.
Vince Tobin, defensive coordinator for the Colts, told us yesterday that the thing that they have to do with Marino is break up his rhythm. I thought it interesting, too, in our conversation, Jim, the very first thing he said was, well, this guy's the best in the game. And I said, well, what, you know, and then I wanted to say,
best Montana. In the history of the game.
Yeah, there were no debates. We didn't sit there and go over Unitas, Montana, anything else. His opinion was that number 13 is the best ever to play the game, and what they had to do was to break up his rhythm and not let him see the same defenses over and over again.
3rd down, 9 yards to go for Marino and the Dolphins. Pressure from the Colts front 4. Number 61 McCoy is there again.
Well, here I mentioned the fact that they want to shake things up, but Jim, that was very basic. They rushed 4 and covered with 7. Tony McCoy is the one who's going to come from your bottom of the screen, and look at Trev Alberts as well. Gets in on that over Richmond Webb of all people. Very impressive pass rush by the Colts, who up to this point, Jim, have really struggled rushing the passer.
Defensive coordinator Vince Tobin says that Alberts will be a force as a pass rusher. And the punt by John Kidd goes over Brewer's head and bounces into the end zone for a touchback. 44-yard punt. They'll begin from their 20-yard line, leading 7-3 with 6 minutes 51 seconds to go in the first half in the RCA Dome.
And by Coca-Cola Classic. Always the real thing. Always Coca-Cola.
Trev Alberts, their #1 pick this year, paying some dividends here late in the season. You can see the dislocated elbow there, all patched up on the right side. Paid some dividends with that big rush there. Interesting point here, Jim, is that I really believe that Tobin is going to be considered a lot smarter for having taken him in the long run, as opposed to having taken Trent Dilfer. I mean, he took a lot of abuse in the press for that, but I think it was the right decision.
Well, he took a lot of abuse on ESPN on draft day immediately, yeah, which gained him, I think, a big following here in Indianapolis and elsewhere.
5 yards, repeat first down.
Well, the thing is now in the National Football League, quarterbacks, because of free agency, there are going to be a lot of unemployed quarterbacks who can come in and help you immediately. People are not going to let go pass rushers like Trev Alberts.
Yeah, maybe Dilfer will someday be one of those quarterbacks. On 1st down 5 after the first penalty of the game against the Dolphins, Harbaugh and company moving with the football. Marshall Faulk with another lights-out cut. It's a gain of 1 yard, but it was sure an entertaining 1-yard gain. J.B. Brown made the stop.
Well, once again, he cuts back against the grain, but in this case, he really had no place to go. The Miami Dolphins did a great job of penetration. Bowens and Cross coming back, pushing him upfield, and now he cuts back to the outside, but J.B. Brown hustles up, pushing him out of bounds for a negligible gain.
J.B. Brown loves to come up hard against the run. One of the superior run-stopping corners in the entire NFL. 2nd down 4. Faulk 5 carries for 15 yards. Had 17 carries for only 50 last week against the Patriots. 6th carry of the game for Marshall, and plenty of room across midfield to the 49-yard line before Gene Atkins is able to run him out.
Interesting formation they went with. They sent the fullback off to the side on the weak side. Watch the left of your screen. Great job of coming off by Cecil Gray, who was able to push people to the outside, Jeff Cross in this case, and create the lane for Marshall Faulk. And as you mentioned, we could argue, Jim, that maybe this man or Deion Sanders is the fastest in the league. I would go with him simply because at the age of 21, he has not had the wear and tear on his legs of some of the others in the league. We could be looking at the fastest man in the NFL.
6 carries, 39 yards now in the game for Faulk. They mark it right at the 50. Rolling a gain of 24, and it is 1st and 10 for the Colts, who have the 7-3 lead, and Harbaugh wants to take no chances in this half in which the Colts have come up big. So Indianapolis leading 7-3 over Miami, and we'll be back. Bring you back to the RCA Dome in Indianapolis, where the Colts have a 7-3 lead over the Miami Dolphins. Key play of the first half, Noel Brewer's 75-yard punt return touchdown. Sandwiched around it were more than 11 minutes of offensive possession by the Dolphins, from which Miami could generate no points. Now on 1st and 10 from the 50, after a 24-yard run by Marshall Faulk. It's Faulk's backup who has the football, Ronald Humphrey, and Humphrey has a gain of about 3.
Good piece of running by Humphrey. You know what, Jim? He struggled so much on that one run because he knows, hey, listen, I'm behind Marshall Faulk. It's kind of like being the backup quarterback for Dan Marino. When I get my opportunity, I have to make the most of it.
Good yards per carry average on the season for Humphrey, and now he leaves the football game. First-year player out of Mississippi Valley State, and back in comes the rookie from San Diego State, Marshall Faulk, only rookie in the NFC or AFC to be chosen to go to the Pro Bowl this year.
And a starter at that, too. He didn't just make the Pro Bowl. He was the one who had the most votes for running backs.
On 2nd down, Faulk with the quick start. He is close to a 1st down and a gain of 6 before Jeff Cross makes the stop for Miami.
You see that kind of start, and it reminds me of Tony Dorsett, doesn't it? The quickness out of that particular stance. But it just goes to show how good he is, because he reminds people of so many other people as well. He has the quickness of a Dorsett, the speed of a Sayers, and he has the toughness. They say that he has a toughness of a Larry Brown, and it's funny to think about that there are actually people that thought that he wouldn't be successful in the National Football League.
He'll even occasionally lower the shoulder and attack the tackler in the manner of a Walter Payton. And now Brian Cox is going off again.
Number 74.
Cox didn't like the spot of the ball, apparently.
74.
Although it's going to leave the Colts short of a 1st down. 3rd down and inches for a 1st down.
Now, interesting, again, I remind you of the approach. The Colts decide to bunch people in, whereas the Dolphins spread them out.
Harbaugh knocking on the door for a 1st down. 2nd effort.
He's not. I think he's short.
Dwight Hollier, number 50, was there. Gene Atkins was there. Marco Coleman, all of them working to deny Harbaugh. Now let's see what Brian Cox thinks at this spot.
Very predictable in terms of the quarterback sneak. It was effective last time, but this is definitely short. Now all of a sudden, isn't this interesting? Look at Brian Cox. Brian Cox before was the one who was out of control. Now he's calming everybody down. That's what you call running the gamut of emotions.
He leads in both directions.
Well, you know what? Wasn't it Emerson that said that consistency was the hobgoblin of little minds?
That would be Ralph Waldo Emerson, not Emerson Fittipaldi, right?
Correct.
Play clock runs down to 1. Jim Harbaugh sees that and says, I'm in trouble. Another Colt timeout used. They'll have 2 remaining. They're checking only 1 remaining before halftime, and Brian Cox is talking again as we go away. Back in the RCA Dome, you won't believe what happened while we were away, as the predictable Brian Cox tantrum resulted in a gift 1st down of the Colts.
And the interesting thing, we were just talking about the fact that the man was under control before. He had all his teammates going back saying, hey, it's 4th and 1. Let's not give him the easy 1st down. And what does he do? He loses composure completely, affording a gift 1st down for the Colts now at the 25.
A personal foul, a 15-yard mark-off. The football goes to the 26. Harbaugh on 1st down throws into the hands of Floyd Turner, who dropped it with Michael Stewart looking on.
I think it looked to me like they might have had the hook and lateral. Take a look here. He has the play action. Now watch number 42. Potts is behind him in position to take the lateral. Look at that. He was going to lateral it, but he couldn't hold on. Potts was right behind him, and they had the hook and lateral, which I find interesting because everybody who follows football closely will remember some 13 years ago in the Orange Bowl when they had Tony Nathan to Duriel Harris, a similar play, but for the Colts it doesn't work.
2nd and 10. Colts playing without starting offensive lineman Randy Dixon, who's been lost today with a hairline fracture of the ankle. Marshall Faulk is dropped for no gain by Dwight Hollier as a result, incidentally, of the Dixon injury. The Colts are now down to 1 remaining reserve offensive lineman.
Well, that's really going to be a struggle, particularly with the offensive line. Faulk cutting to the outside. Good play there by Hollier, and if anybody else gets hurt, that will really revamp the game plan.
So now it will be 3rd down 10 from the 26 as the Dolphin defense tries to recover from Brian Cox's 15-yard personal foul penalty that gave the Colts a gift first down on 4th and 1. Harbaugh throws at the feet of the intended receiver, Rosie Potts, and it'll be 4th down 10.
Once again, a 3rd down pass by Harbaugh that was off the mark. Even if he does come up with a catch, of course, he's going to be a little bit short. Now instead, though, they're going to be faced with a 44-yard field goal for Biasucci.
Well, Potts might have made that catch, but it was short of a first down anyway. So Biasucci comes on to kick out a Ron Starks hold and try for the field goal. Biasucci's first field goal attempt of the day was blocked by Dolphin Timmerwin, number 76, who again lines up in the middle of the line. This one he gets away, but it's outside the upright.
And that's where the extra yardage might have helped, Jim. A little bit shorter field goal, maybe it's good.
Colts might have had a 13-3 lead at this point were it not for the blocked and missed field goal attempts by Biasucci.
Well, they could be a little bit conscious of Irwin, but in that case, he pushes it just right. And, of course, you can see by the angle of the way the ball was kicked that if indeed it would have been about 6 yards shorter, it would have been good. There's Gene Atkins right on top of him, holding him back. And that's Marco Coleman telling him he missed, trying to get a little wrap in on him. Every time I see that, I'm always reminded of the Super Bowl when Jack Lambert did that. Remember that? And Cliff Harris came in and got in Jarilla's face, and then Lambert spiked him.
On first down for Marino and the Dolphins, the pass is in and out of the hands of James Saxon. Incomplete. 2nd down 10. Coriat was there for the Colts. But just to wrap up what happened on the preceding drive, the Cox personal foul for arguing during a timeout did not result in any Colts points.
Well, I'm sure that's something that he'll bring up in the defensive meeting tomorrow when they have the films. He said, yeah, okay, big deal. So I had a little bit of an argument. Did they score? No.
You should send thank you notes to the 10 other guys on the defensive unit. And Cox is still going off on the sideline.
Well, it's a little bit late now. What's productive about this?
Marino on 2nd down throws down the middle to Keith Jackson. And Jackson, who had a couple of drops last Monday night against Kansas City, is sure-handed on this play, perhaps with enough for a Dolphin first down. It is. It'll be first down at the 44-yard line. And there's the 2-minute signal. We need to call 2-minute warning, but now everybody sees it coming. 7-3 Indy. We'll be back. And we bring you back home again to Indiana, where the Miami Dolphins have first down after completion from Marino to Keith Jackson. Now down the middle, the number 80 Irving Fryer. Fryer working against Jason Belser as the big catch into Colt territory at the 36-yard line.
Offensive line for the Dolphins provided him plenty of time. It's just amazing how he's able to sit back and flick his arm and get it 20 yards downfield on a line.
That was Fryer's first catch of the day. Now Saxon holds on to the football in the flat. David Tate is there to belt him for the Colts.
Well, that time the Colts decided to go with the blitz and change things up. It's interesting now you can see them on the field motioning to one another. They need to change up because they can't keep coming with the exact same rushes every time.
Gain of 2 on first down, 2nd down 8. Marino's pass is caught by Jackson, and he stumbles to the turf in front of Stephen Grant, but has enough for another Miami first down.
The ineffectiveness of the Colt rush here, Jim, is because they're on the field trying to guess with the blitzes, trying to guess. They don't have any head start. They're slow and trying to get to Marino, and that's affording him that much more time.
12-yard gain, Marino to Jackson. Now Marino looking in the end zone, overthrows Fryer. Eugene Daniel was there on the coverage. So that'll stop the clock. Marino 10 of 18 for 115 yards.
Marino here once again takes a safety off, looks right, comes back to the left on the up route to Fryer. But in this case, Daniel did a great job of coverage.
Dolphins hoping to clinch first place in the AFC East. O.J. McDuffie and Irving Fryer are the wide receivers on the field on 2nd down 10. Marino looks down the middle and gets it to Fryer. He's dropped at about the 13. Jason Belzer with the stop.
Marino making all the right decisions here, Jim. Last time they go with the blitz, he goes with the man-for-man coverage, tight end at linebacker. This time they go back in the zone, Fry with a crossing route underneath. Marino just sees it all. Very impressive.
69 catches on the year now for Irving Fry, career best for the man who 11 years ago was the first pick overall in the entire draft coming out of Nebraska.
Well, the thing that's impressive about it, too, Jim, is that he has his best career year at a relatively advanced age. He's 32 years of age. At the beginning of the season, he told everybody, he said, don't forget, don't cast me off just because I'm over 30. I can make some plays. And clearly, as personified by the numbers, that's exactly what he's done. 69 catches, over 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, all career highs. He is proving the very thing that your buddy George Foreman proved, that you're never too old to make it happen.
Well, let's see if he can do it at 45. He's the AFC leader in yardage this year, and you saw there the graphic that indicates 69 catches, a career high for Fry. It'll be 3rd down and less than a yard to go for a Miami first down. 28 seconds left before the half. Dolphins have 1 timeout, as do the Colts. End zone, off the hands of Fryer, a sure touchdown.
Now, remember earlier in the season, a game that you and I broadcast, Jim, similar situation, 4th and 1 in the middle of the field, again showing the confidence in his arm. Instead of going underneath for the easy play, they go for it all. That was a terrific throw by Marino. I think that's a ball that Fryer feels like he should have had.
I hope so.
That play right there, of course, really set their season going. Remember, Jim, it was 4th and 1. It created the win for them against New England.
That was back in the beginning of September. Now the Dolphins again with 4th and 1. And Saxon is met in the backfield and then moves forward on second effort. It was Tony Siragusa who made the first hit against Saxon, but with the second effort, he may have converted the 4th down half-yard situation.
One of the things they're always saying to the defensive linemen is wrap up. The Colts had a great opportunity there to stuff the Dolphins and create what would in effect have been considered a turnover, but Siragusa couldn't hold on. Give credit to Saxon for second effort.
Dolphins used their last timeout with 13 seconds on the clock before halftime. We'll be back.
Today.
Here's the play before, the 3rd down play. Fry with an in and out move. Look at the throw. Throws it long before he looks. Hits him right on the hands and he can't come up with it. Now on 4th down, you think it's a no-brainer. We'll just hand it to him and get the first. Siragusa has him right there, but just can't hold on. Saxon able to plunge forth despite the efforts of Trev Alberts. And now the Dolphins are set up with no timeouts at the 12-yard line. 13 seconds remaining. More than likely, this could possibly be two throws into the end zone, but they've got to be careful here, because if they make a play in the field of play, get the thing, that would be the end of the half, Jim.
So do you gamble down the middle into the end zone, or do you throw to the corner, Todd?
Oh, in the end zone, you got a shot, sure.
Marino's pass is caught at the 2-yard line by Irving Fry.
The half's over.
But the Dolphins will not be able to stop the clock. Half ends. Nope.
Now, this is going to be an interesting debate, Jim, as to whether or not this is offensive or defensive. If it's a defensive situation where they're calling about stalling, then they will get an opportunity to kick the field goal. I'm very surprised that they did that throwing in the field of play, because they have to wait for them to go. I think the half's over, though.
There you have it. Dolphins take it to the 2-yard line, but cannot score.
Here we've been talking about the great decision-making of Dan Marino, but here he has to know he's got to get in the end zone. But the sliding catch just doesn't cut it. And as soon as he's there in the field of play, you know that the half is over. I think that Dan Marino certainly would have wanted to have that one back, trying every effort to do what they can. Tony Siragusa's not in a hurry. They gotta wait to get it back. And you saw his reaction. Hey, half's over.
So the Colts lead at 7-3. We'll be back with the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report.
Sorry about that.
Trailing the Colts 7-3 at halftime. Quickly, we take a look at the Coors Light halftime stats, and Todd Christensen, they show us that the Dolphins have gotten some yardage. Dan Marino with 133 air yards, but no TDs.
And the other thing that stands out here too, Jim, is take a look at time of possession. Normally that is something that you think is consistent with what's going on in the football field. They have 6.5 minutes more, but don't forget the big strike for the Colts, of course, was the punt return, and that's the reason they lead 7-3.
75-yard punt return by Duell Brewer. Now, much of the attention in the first half, particularly toward the end, focused on the sporadic and mercurial personality of one Brian Cox, who went off and created a temper tantrum that almost gave Indianapolis a score.
Well, that's right. Unfortunately for them, Biasucci missed the field goal, and as you pointed out, blocked field goal earlier. Otherwise, the Colts could be in command of this game.
Colts getting enough yardage from Marshall Faulk to control the ball at times. On the opening kickoff of the second half, McDuffie of the Dolphins gets it back to about the 34-yard line. In the performances of Cox and Marino, do you get the indication, perhaps, Todd, that the Dolphins feel a little pressure here today as they try to clinch the division?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. They certainly have to feel the pressure. And I think a lot of people were already handing them the game. And I think there might have been a certain complacency amongst some of the players now that they went to the playoffs last week under the assumption that, well, the Colts will lay down for us. Clearly today they haven't.
So it'll be interesting to see what Shula has been able to do at halftime to diffuse Cox's temper, to keep Marino and the offense on a positive note after not having scored a TD in the first half. Irving spikes, and the football game breaks away. Inside the 40, inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. It was Ray Buchanan who wrapped up Spikes and hauled him out of bounds, and he might have been the only Colt with a chance to catch the rookie running back.
But you mentioned that earlier when he came in, he was a change of pace, just a little bit quicker than Parmley. Great blocking at the point of attack. Look at Keith Sims pulling out to make the block. He busts through 2 tackles. 5'8", 215-pounder gets additional yardage there when Ray Buchanan decides he wants to strip the ball instead of just make the tackle. Set up now at the 26-yard line. Great start for the Dolphins here in the second half.
Give number 40 credit for a 40-yard run, his longest from scrimmage of the season, and indeed in his career. He's a rookie out of Northeast Louisiana. It's first down 10 for the Dolphins at the Colt 26. And Parmalee is wrapped up in his backfield and stopped for no gain by Tony McCoy.
Tony McCoy is having an outstanding game. 2 sacks and now another tackle for loss. Somebody who really doesn't get his due throughout the National Football League. But in the games that we've had the Colts this year, Jim, he has played some outstanding football.
Parmalee leaves the field as Spikes comes back on. Second down 10. Parmalee now 12 carries for 29 yards. Colts have done a good job of limiting him from the early part of the second quarter on. Marino gets the play off. Spikes inside, has maybe a couple. Stephen Grant reacting from outside linebacker, number 59, and Jeff Arad, number 54, is there as well.
You know, we mentioned, Jim, earlier the dilemma of play calling for Gary Stevens, the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. Do we stick with the run? Do we throw on first down? Some of the things we have to do. Do we have to integrate the run at this particular time? Now they come up 3rd and long. He is somebody that I think has done an excellent job throughout the season, but he too has gone under some criticism for the idea that the offense, particularly the running game, has not been as integrated as it should have been. 3rd down 9. Fravor on the field as the 3rd down back. Ingram and McDuffie both in the ball game along with Fryer as the Dolphins go to 3 wide. Marino with time throws underneath to Jackson, and he fumbles the football loose at the 7-yard line. McDuffie going for it, as were the Colts. Officials appear to indicate that the Dolphins have regained possession. Well, that's a great effort by Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram just made a terrific effort. Man-for-man coverage here right in the middle of your screen. You're going to see Keith Jackson with a nice in-and-out move on Tate. Now he cuts up the field. There's the strip by Tate. The ball bounced down. Ingram doesn't get it the first time. He doesn't get it the second time. Finally, he gets it the 3rd time, scrambles through despite the collision with Jason Belzer. That's an excellent effort by Ingram.
So Ingram's big play preserves the Dolphins scoring threat. It's 1st and goal from the 6. Saxon has about half of it, down to the 3. Tony Siragusa will be at the bottom of the pile for the Colts.
Once again, notice, I know that I make this point, and I forgive my redundancy, but notice that here, even inside the 5-yard line, the Dolphins do not go with the 3 tight end set.
Although they do have 3 tight ends on the roster in Jackson, Ronnie Williams, and Greg Beatty. Beatty is a kick snapper. Jackson, a noted non-blocker in the running game. On second down, Spikes trying to get outside. Terrific play by David Tate, number 49, and then the rest of the Colt defense was there to help him.
Well, terrific play by David Tate, but give Spikes credit. That should have been a tackle, made it about the 6 or 7 yard line. Great penetration by the Colts. Watch the right of your screen as they penetrate through the blocks. Tate in particular right here, you thought he had him, going to pull him down at the 6, but look at the leg strength of Spikes, who then breaks a tackle by Daniels, and before 3 or 4 Colts can come up, he still sets them up, gains the yard, Jim, now at the 2.
Third down and goal. Dolphins have converted 5 of 10 third downs in the game. Saxon is going to be stopped well short of the goal line.
People at home are going to say the same thing. What are you doing? You've got Dan Marino. What the heck are you doing handing the ball to James Saxon in the middle of the field? Even though the thing didn't work, I actually liked the call, Jim, because the predictability of the situation is Dan Marino does the play action, fades back and throws. The offensive line, frankly, just did not do the job. Give credit to the front 3 of the Colts on that set.
The injured player on the field is a Dolphin. We'll identify him for you when we come back. Jim Lampley and Todd Christensen back in the RCA Dome as Pete Stoyanovich comes on to attempt the field goal, which would narrow Indianapolis's lead in the football game to 7-6. Just outside of 10 minutes remaining in the third period. Stoyanovich climaxes the Dolphin drive with a 19-yard field goal. That narrows the Colt margin to 7-6. But still, Miami without a touchdown, despite having ended the first half at the Colt 2 and driven it to the Colt 2 on the first possession of the third. There'll be football on Christmas Eve as well as we bring you back. The Dolphins kicking it off after Pete Stoyanovich's 19-yard field goal. Indianapolis has a 7-6 lead as Ronald Humphrey watches the ball go dead out of the end zone, and Indianapolis will start from its 20-yard line.
This gives you some perspective of what Don Shula has done. There's a benchmark in sports, great years, 50 goals in hockey, 20 points a game in basketball, and 30 home runs. These are the years it would take to surpass the respective records of Wayne Gretzky, Henry Aaron, Kareem Jabbar. 17 years of 50 goals, 26 years of 30 home runs, 24 years of 20 points a game. Now a coach starting out now in a 10-win season, which is a great season, would have to do it for 32 consecutive years. Jim, I know that everybody talks about some of the unbreakable records, you know, like Aaron's home run record or Johnny Vandermeer's back-to-back no-hitters, but that one, I think, is pretty safe.
For the moment. Colts move on 1st and 10 from the 20. Harbaugh throwing with the 1-point lead. It's complete to Dawkins down the middle, and Dawkins gets a big cheer from the Indianapolis crowd as he gets across the 35 to the 37 before J.B. Brown brought him down. And the injured Dolphin a couple of plays ago, incidentally, on the third down play near the goal line was offensive guard Keith Sims, headed to the Pro Bowl. We're told that he has a stinger. That means he may come back and play. On 1st down from the 37. Harbaugh gives to Falk. And Falk has plenty of room and 1st down yardage to the 50-yard line before Troy Vincent and Michael Stewart bring him down for the Dolphins.
There's certain things you just can't teach, Jim, and at the 45-yard line, and when he makes the little shake and bake to avoid the secondary person, man, oh man, is he something special.
A 14-yard gain for Falk. And a new 1st down for the Colts at the Dolphin 49. This time, penetration from Marco Coleman, or check it, it was Dwight Hollier got across the line of scrimmage. Tim Bowens was also in on the play as the Dolphins dropped Falk for a loss.
Good penetration on the defensive line, and Falk shaken up a little bit. He had his vision downfield. He just didn't see that at all when it hit him at the legs.
So Humphrey comes onto the field now to replace Falk. After the loss of 3, it'll be 2nd down 13 for Harbaugh and the Colts. Gain of about 5. Frankie Smith, Dolphins' 5th defensive back, who was on the field in the Dolphin nickel defense. made the stop. Call it a gain of 4. It'll be 3rd down 9 for the first down.
Now the Dolphins run the risk here of trying to get into their dime set. Confused a little bit. You can see some of the people with their hands out wondering what the signal is because of the no huddle.
Harbaugh this time is wrapped up from behind as Frankie Smith gets there on the corner blitz.
Well, we were told that Frankie Smith was having some problems injury-wise, but clearly there you can see that his adrenaline must have been working. Watch to the right of your screen. Number 29 is going to be in on the corner blitz. Gets around the tackle, and even when Harbaugh starts to take off and go to his left, Smith with the speed to run him down.
Ron Stark on to kick it away for the Colts. O.J. McDuffie will wait at his 10-yard line for Miami. Stark had a 60-yarder in the first half. He's looking for about 46 here. Kick is high and taken on a fair catch at the 12-yard line by McDuffie. 38-yard kick for Stark. It'll be Dolphin football when we come back.
Remember Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Brian Cox bumps into Ron Stark. Now watch. Oh, hey, you know what? I'm sorry about that. Hey, Ron, what's up? How you doing? How's the family? We're cool. Wasn't this the same guy that was going nuts in the first half, Jim?
I'm not sure. He's wearing the same jersey number, but I'm not sure even he would tell you that he was the same guy. He does have a tattoo on his arm that says Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and in Brian's case, no further explanation necessary. Marino on first down the middle, complete to Irving Fryer. Belzer drags him down, but increasingly the communication between Marino and Fryer resembles that existed for so many years between number 13 and Mark Clayton.
Zone coverage, take a look at it. 2 deep zone on the deep in route. This is where you have the quick release. You just can't get to him. Jason Belzer not in bad position, but how do you defense that great release?
18-yard shot. Marino to Fryer, first down at the 29-yard line. The numbers on Dan. And this one's complete to Parley underneath. He's got a gain of a couple before Jeff Harrod makes the stop.
Again, Marino does an outstanding job of avoiding a 3rd sack by Tony McCoy. He has great protection at the last minute. McCoy is right in his face. And instead of taking the sack, he gets it underneath and avoids the loss.
Gain of 2. It will be 2nd down 8.
Yeah, and one of the things, too, Jim, that happens is that with the quick release and with his ability to move his feet the way he does, he frustrates defensive linemen. They get so frustrated when they have a great rush and can't get to him.
Fryer again, short of the first down. Ray Buchanan, number 34, working hard against Fryer.
Well, Jim, you mentioned the rapport that's being established between Marino and Fryer. They came with the blitz. Marino comes to the left. Fryer does an outstanding job in getting his 5th catch. Watch as he comes back to the ball. You mentioned this is a great matchup between he and Buchanan. Comes down, keeps coming back because he knows how well Buchanan can close. If he sits down on the 40-yard line, Buchanan might come in and make the play.
Buchanan with picks in each of the last 5 games. Hasn't had one yet today. 3rd down 3 for the Dolphins. Football at the 36. Crowd trying to lift the Colt defenders. Marino's throw up for grabs and almost picked off by Belzer.
Remember, we mentioned it earlier. This is something that the Colts have been taking advantage of. Remember earlier in the first half when they went with the blitz. What does Irving Fryer's read? What's left of your screen? He's going to run the slant route. Jason Belzer anticipates it, comes across. He almost has the pick, but Buchanan is the one who really makes the play.
It was Mike Williams who was the intended receiver, but the point is well taken. It was the slant pattern off that blitz adjustment, and it's 4th down 3 as John Kidd kicks it away from Miami.
Much better punt, Jim. Much better.
Beautiful. Now Brewer, who has one 75-yard touchdown return earlier, gets this one across the 20 to about the 25 before James Saxon is downfield to make the stop for the Dolphins. Indianapolis will have the football and a 1-point.
Marshall Faulk certainly has been getting the lion's share of the attention here in Indianapolis because of his exploits, but something else that you may not be aware of.
Are you going to tell us in a little while, Todd?
I think I might. A little suspense. It's all right.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm like all our viewers. I'm unaware, too. First down at the 25-yard line for the Indianapolis Colts. They've had only 7 first downs in the football game, but they lead 7-6. Falk gets the ball and a gain of a couple before Chuck Klingbeil stops him for the Dolphins.
Marshall Faulk wears number 28, and courtesy of Jess Simon, we find out in the NHL, Steve Larmer also happens to wear number 28. Quinn Buckner, number 28 in the NBA. Pedro Guerrero and the football guy, I'm sorry, I don't.
Ahmad Rashad.
Oh, all right.
Co-host of NFL Library, still wears number 28. On second down 8, flags are down. We haven't seen a lot of those today. Harbaugh chased and dropped by Marco Coleman. Could be Coleman's 7th sack of the year, or it could be a penalty. Willie Gallimore was a great 28, incidentally. Offside against the Dolphins.
Pedro Guerrero was certainly a pretty good hitter, too.
90 defense, 5 yards.
Now watch Bowens and Cross on the left side.
Bowens goes offside, but I believe it was Klingbeil that they called it on in that up tackle position. Take a look at the helmet. Saw the helmet in the neutral zone.
So that makes it second down 3 for the Colts. The give is to Roosevelt Potts as the Colts try to grind out the first down, and he's short of the sticks as Marco Coleman and Tim Bowens bring him down.
And you mentioned Willie Gallimore, and all kidding aside, Bobby Moore, nay Ahmad Rashad, was certainly somebody who made his mark in the National Football League. We kid him. You don't forget that he went from the Buffalo Bills to the Minnesota Vikings, where he was a Pro Bowler. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was the 1979 season, Ahmad was the MVP of the Pro Bowl.
It was indeed. Larry Webster and Frankie Smith on the field for the Dolphins as they go in their third down package. Falk gets the call. Not a lot of blocking, but a nifty move and a first down across the 35 to about the 38-yard line. Flags are down, however.
The limited blocking you saw was holding.
Aha. Okay, well, that explains it. So erase the 6-yard gain for Falk.
You know, this is interesting as you look at number 28, because those that follow sports closely.
Fouls. Number 65 offense, that penalty declined. Number 79 offense, that penalty is accepted. 10 yards, repeat third down.
First mistake for number 65, the rookie offensive guard Eric Malum, playing in place of Randy Dixon, who suffered a hairline fracture of the ankle earlier today. There's Malum.
In on the pull, and you see that he does the takedown on Coleman, and that's what the official saw.
So that lengthens the challenge to now third down and 13 for Harbaugh. Out of the shotgun. Away from the rush. First down yardage and more. Out to the 44-yard line. Michael Stewart with the tackle. Tom Olivadotti says, oh, forget it.
Yeah, exactly right. They did everything right. They force him out of the pocket. They have everybody covered. And this is interesting. Watch as he cuts up the field. I know very well that there are a lot of guys that can put on shorts and maybe run a 4.5 40, but there aren't that many guys that are that fast in pads. Jim Harbaugh is clearly one of those guys that may not blaze in the shorts, but with the pads on, he looks pretty fast.
He got the first down for the Colts. Now looks for something deep. And finally decides to throw short, and the receiver didn't turn to look around as Brian Cox was there for the Dolphins.
What it was, Jim, is they were trying to set up the screen, but they couldn't do it, and the result of that was because Brian Cox read it out completely. He had Falk on man-for-man coverage, and number 51 was all over that, and that forced Harbaugh to throw it away.
So good play for Cox, who goes to the Pro Bowl as a middle linebacker after having achieved a high degree of status in the league in his first 4 years as an outside linebacker. Second down 10. Harbaugh, good protection, throws over the middle to number 81, Charles Arbuckle, and the tight end is brought down by Cox.
Cox will get in on the coverage. Here is somebody. One thing we should do here, Jim, and clarify this point, and that is that despite his Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde reputation, do not mistake his craziness for being stupid. This is a bright guy who knows what's happening on the football field, has tremendous football savvy.
Third down 3 after Charles Arbuckle's first catch of the year for the Colts. Harbaugh throwing in the flat. Would have been a first down if Falk could have held on.
3 different occasions now where Jim Harbaugh has had third down conversions, people open, and he just doesn't deliver the ball. I would agree, Jim, that maybe this is catchable, but he's got plenty of time, sets up, it's a shorter route, it's low, and Falk just can't come up with it.
So that'll bring up the punting situation for Ron Stark and the Colts. O.J. McDuffie waits at his 10-yard line. 1 minute, 53 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Colts still lead 7-6 on the strength of Duell Brewer's 75-yard punt return touchdown in the first half. Stark's kick is high and short. McDuffie calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 14-yard line. Harbaugh laments offensive sputtering by Indy.
Wendy celebrates 25.
Brian Cox comes to the sidelines, and of course that's Hall of Famer Mean Joe Green conversing with him about some of the defensive sets. Tom Olivadotti, defensive coordinator, comes in to find out if they are on the same page. As I mentioned, the responsibility of calling the defense falls to Brian Cox. They want to make sure of things.
On first down for the Dolphins, going from their 14-yard line, Irving Spikes has 3. Let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Jim, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Joe Montana has thrown for 2 touchdown passes. Now the ground game. Donnell Bennett, 12-yard burst up the middle for the touchdown. With the extra point, the Chiefs lead at 21-3. They've just begun the fourth quarter at Arrowhead. Jim?
All right, thank you, Greg. And during the course of that game, Montana has passed John Unitas on the all-time passing yardage list to move into 4th place there. Of course, that's a record which Dan Marino will put to bed when his career is over with. Spikes was the intended receiver on the screen. Marino is belted to the turf. And it's going to be 3rd down for the Dolphins after that incompleted pass. And we remind you, next week's games here on NBC. NFL Live begins next Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. New England and Chicago, both teams still hopeful of possible division championships. They'll play in the early game. Kansas City and the Raiders, many of you will see in the late game. Pittsburgh is also on the road to play the San Diego Chargers that day, close out the season. Marino's throw is into the hands of a man who was wrapped up immediately by McCoy and Siragusa. And the crowd responds enthusiastically to outstanding play on that series by the Colt defense. It was Aaron Craver who had the ball and nowhere to go.
Well, Tony Siragusa has done a great job this year of rushing the passer. A lot of times, nose tackles, that is not their forte. They're run block, run stop kind of guys, but Siragusa has been somebody who has been able to harass the passer all year long.
Duell Brewer is deep as John Kidd kicks it away for the Dolphins, and Kidd with another high kick. Brewer has only a few.
Well, whatever Kidd did to improve his height, as we're watching him practice in the first half, has paid off, Jim. Back-to-back great punts.
And let's correct the error on our graphic, incidentally. Those games that we showed you, all of them next Saturday, not Sunday. Saturday, Christmas Eve, New England against Chicago, Kansas City against the Raiders in the late game. Some of you will see Pittsburgh at San Diego. And we remind you one more time, that's next Saturday, not Sunday, with NFL Live beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time. Colts have the football and the lead at the 41-yard line. Jim Harbaugh, 19 seconds remaining in the third quarter. So in fewer than 20 seconds, it'll be fourth quarter time, and it'll be appropriate for the Dolphins to begin considering scoring touchdowns. Floyd Turner on the end around is stopped by Webster and Brown after a very short gain. Clock will run out on the third quarter. So with the Colts leading 7-6 and trying to move with the football in their own territory, we'll be back after these messages from your local station. The line score from the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. Jim Lampley with Todd Christensen as the fourth quarter begins. Colts with the football and a 1-point lead. 2nd down 6. Ball at the Indianapolis 45-yard line. Falk is dropped for about a 2-yard loss. And we check in with Greg Gumbel in New York.
All right, Jim, at Rich Stadium in Buffalo earlier today in the New England win over the Bills, Drew Bledsoe to Ben Coates, one of his 5 receptions on the day, this one for the touchdown. And on the season, Ben Coates with 93 catches still leaves him too shy of one Todd Christensen. But then again, this tight end has another game next week, Jim.
Well, that's right, Greg, and...
oh, no. Oh, no.
No, no, you'll sleep, Todd. You don't need that record.
No, wait.
Your identity continues to evolve, and you're a different person now. You'll have your own security without that record. On third down, Harbaugh is loaded over by a host of Miami tacklers, led by Jeff Gross, Marco Coleman, Aubrey Beavers.
Came with the corner blitz again. Frankie Smith comes off the corner, and even though he doesn't make the play, he's the one that forces him up into the pocket where Cross is able to get the sack.
Loss of 5 as Miami defensive coordinator Tom Olivedotti's blitz works on third down and 8, so it's 4th and 13. O.J. McDuffie goes deep to receive Ron Stark's punt.
So should I fly to Chicago and rub the ball like Calvin Murphy did to Abdul Rauf at the end of the season, man?
I think not.
You're right.
Oh, what a downfield tackle on O.J. McDuffie. It was number 53. As we bring it back live, a look back at punt coverage for the Colts. Number 53, Paul Butcher, emerging, Todd, from the most remote corner of my spotting chart to make that hit.
Great hit by Butcher. He really personifies the effectiveness of the Colts special teams today.
So it's first down from the 25 for Marino and the Dolphins. Spikes getting a lot of work in the second half as Parmalee is bothered by his previously sprained knee. Let's quickly go to Greg Gumbel in New York.
Jim, at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, the Oilers come back. Billy Joe Tolliver, 20 yards out, finds Haywood Jeffries for the touchdown. The two-point conversion attempt failed. It's a 21-9 Kansas City lead on Houston early in the fourth quarter. Jim?
One thing I have to say about that Houston Oilers team, despite their record, there's no quit in that group. I got to give Jeff Fisher credit. A lot of guys could have just given it up, but every game they're competitive.
On second down 6 after the gain of 4 on first down, Marino's pass is batted into the air. Parmalee was back on the field. And we're going to say John Hand, ninth-year veteran out of Alabama, returning to action after 7 weeks off, was the one who got a hand on the football.
Well, John Hand, as you mentioned, has been injured this season. Watch the upper left of your screen. Gets the vertical jump, bats the ball down. And, you know, the crowd is really starting to get into this, Jim. I think that they just anticipated that Miami was just going to come in. It was going to be an easy game. Give a lot of credit to that Colt defense who's been on the field a lot today.
Third down 6, Aaron Craver, number 44, on the field with Marino. Plenty of time. Marino chased out of the pocket, finally cuts loose. And it was a free football. And now the flag goes down.
There's 3 flags down on the field, and I think one of them is going to be defensive holding.
Referee Ron Blum telling Marino, wait just a minute. Ray Buchanan is happy about something.
As best as I can tell, we'll let it go here. The official will explain it. You see Marino running back onto the field. I think that's an anticipation of offsetting penalties.
48 defense. Pass hit an ineligible player against the offense. Penalties offset.
Yeah,
repeat third down.
Big break for the Dolphins, who get another chance on 3rd and 6.
Buchanan comes from the left on the blitz, jumps up, plenty of time. Now watch here at the end of the throw. That's a lineman, of course, who's ineligible, and that's what the call was. But downfield there was defensive holding, and so as a result, now he's trying to scream. I think that the reaction of Marino is he's trying to explain that it wasn't intentional grounding. Yeah. And the official's saying to him, no, that's not what we call.
Pass hit Keith Sims in the jersey, and Marino was saying, no, I've got a receiver right beyond him there. Craver still on the field. 3rd down 6. Dolphins in the 4-wide set. Marino overthrows down the far side, and he was looking to get the football to Mike Williams. Ashley Ambrose was there on the coverage.
Vince Tobin must see something we don't, because here on the left side of your screen, Ray Buchanan comes again on the blitz. They had what they wanted, man-for-man coverage, but Marino just overthrew Williams, or else they could have had a huge play. And take a look at the reaction of Tobin. He knows that every time he blitzes, he's running the risk. The body English says it all. Oh, good deal, incomplete.
John Kidd to kick it away for the Dolphins. Duell Brewer waits deep for the Colts.
Another good kick.
Brewer with some room at his 25. Do we get another 75-yarder here? Dragged down from behind after an 18-yard return. Big day for Duell Brewer and the Colts. They still lead 7-6. 12 and a half minutes remaining in the RCA Dome. Colts leading Dolphins 7-6. We show you the AFC playoff picture. These four teams have clinched playoff berths. Dolphins need a win today to clinch the AFC East Division Championship. And here are the teams still contending for the remaining playoff berths in the AFC. Raiders play the Chiefs next Saturday, Christmas Eve, in the late game that many of you will see here on NBC. Buffalo's playoff chances for the moment are on life support. And New England, after beating Buffalo today, has won 6 in a row. Now first down for the Colts, and Jim Harbaugh with excellent field position at the 43-yard line after the 18-yard punt return by Duell Brewer. Good throw over the middle to Sean Dawkins, and Dawkins has a first down in Miami territory at the 45-yard line before Michael Stewart makes the stop.
Once again, they pass on the running downs. They've gone away a little bit from the no huddle here, and Dawkins is somebody who very much wants to be an integral part of this offense, but feels that with Marshall Faulk, maybe he's not getting the throws that he deserves.
Dolphins came in with a league tie, or a tie for the league lead with 21 interceptions. Haven't gotten one today against Harbaugh. On first down, Harbaugh's throw is caught by Dawkins, and Dawkins has a gain of about 5 before he's wrapped up by Troy Vincent.
Don't forget, though, Jim, in addition to the fact of the interceptions where the Miami defense is concerned, that prior to last week they had given up 300 yards in 4 straight contests and are 28 in the league in yards allowed for their pass defense. But in a lot of cases that can be a misleading statistic, and I think that man, Tom Olivedati, has done an excellent job this year with his defense, integrating in particular their safeties, brand new safeties this year, Gene Atkins and Michael Stewart.
And shuffling the linebackers in the wake of the early season injury to Hollier. The move of Cox to middle linebacker can be seen as a divine inspiration. On second down 6, Lamont Warren with the football, breaks free in the secondary, down to the 15-yard line before Stewart finally brings him down. A 23-yard gain for Marshall Faulk's backup.
Lamont Warren in the preseason had a 70-plus yard catch, which pretty much helped him make the team and become one of the backups to Marshall Faulk. Great job by the interior line creating a gap. Warren cuts back to the outside. Unfortunately, there runs up the back of Cash, which enables Stewart to bring him down. Nice run by Warren.
They mark it at the 15-yard line. Colts with a chance to lengthen their lead. A touchdown and conversion here would put the Dolphins in deep trouble. Potts drags a tackler, and it's Stewart for more than 5 yards before the strong safety finally wrestles him out of bounds.
Once again, the offensive line. Look at the misdirection. When the tailback goes right, so do the white shirts. Now look at the gap that Potts has here. If he cuts back to the inside past Hollier, he might go the distance. Instead, he runs over the top of Stewart, setting the Colts up in great field position at the 6.
Give him credit for 9 yards to the 6. Well, that's second down 1.
That's really a bold poster there, considering the past of the Colts. A very brazen fan put that one together.
Indeed. Warren, and the hesitation gave him a moment to find a hole. He got it down to the 1-yard line before Stewart and Cox and Coleman ganged up to make the tackle. But it's another Colt first down, and this time first and goal.
Jim, give some credit to Malum, Laudermilk, and Stasiak. They're really pushing the people out. This is the situation where Chuck Klingbeil and Tim Bowens, the defensive tackles for the Dolphins, have to assert themselves, but instead it's been the offensive line of the Colts that's been dominant this series.
Malum, the rookie out of California, has had a heck of a day in there since very early on, replacing Randy Dixon. They call it first and goal from the 1. is met in midair and dropped.
Brian Cox.
The super active Brian Cox.
So many adjectives describe him, and another one is fearless. Watch the middle, watch number 51. Look at the anticipation. He was on the other side of the field, and he comes over in front of Dwight Hollier, jumps up and makes the play. That is a great football play by number 51.
That moves it back to the 2. It'll be second down goal from the 2. Was Arbuckle. Harbaugh fakes and is in trouble as he releases it out of the end zone. Gene Atkins on the safety blitz almost got to Harbaugh.
Great job of penetration by the Miami Dolphins. Completely not fooled on that situation is number 93, William Gaines, who puts the pressure on Harbaugh, forcing him to throw it away. And now on third down at the 2-yard line, more than likely they're going to have to throw the ball here, Jim.
Good correction by you. It was Gaines chasing Harbaugh. It was Atkins who was covering in the end zone.
Once again, I'm surprised here that they're in their 3 tight end set. This would be an opportunity to spread themselves out and create some gaps in the Dolphins.
Third down goal. Let's see if they'll give Harbaugh credit for getting rid of it for an incomplete pass. Tim Bowens was the man who chased Harbaugh all the way to the sideline.
Well, we talked about the fact that the Dolphins really needed to make a stand here, and Bowens had to assert himself, and that's exactly what happened. Poor job by the Colts there inside the 5, but let's give the Dolphins credit. Mentioned Bowens, look at the rookie, 320 pounds, trying to run down Harbaugh just at the last minute. He throws it and knows that he can get away with the intentional grounding there. Defensive coordinator Tom Olivadotti has to be very pleased with the stand by that Dolphin defense.
And the Colts opt for the field goal try by Biasucci. He had a 19-yarder earlier. This would be a 20-yarder, and it's good. So Biasucci's field goal lengthens the Colt lead to 10-6.
2 seconds left. Should the Dolphins stop the clock and kick the tying field goal, or should they try for a touchdown?
Over the years, some pretty hungry folks have stopped by, Mike.
Go for the tie or go for the win? With 22 seconds left, Dan Marino looked like he was going to kill the clock. Instead, he fired a pass.
Touchdown, Dolphins, Mark Ingram!
The winning call from the Colonel's playbook.
How incredible are the savings at your Eagle dealer? We'll find out today at the home of Mike Stocker. It's been 12 straight hours of television for Mike. Mike!
In a minute, dear.
What's this?
Lease an Eagle Vision now with a powerful V6, 4-wheel disc brakes, and dual airbags for just $239 a month. But hurry, a deal like this won't last long.
Boy, I'd like to take the Eagle test drive.
The car's right outside.
Oh, thought he'd never leave.
8 minutes, 10 seconds to go in the 4th quarter in Indianapolis, and the Dolphins now looking for the 30th 4th quarter comeback of Dan Marino's illustrious career. Trailed the Colts 10-6. They credit Biasucci with a 19-yard field goal, not the 20-yarder that I identified it as a moment ago. And now Marino waits for the football as the Colts prepare to kick off.
And Jim, you have to wonder if a little starch is out of the Dolphins. The Monday night victory over Kansas City, very dramatic. They expended a lot of emotion in that game. That's one less day that they had to prepare for this particular game. And I wonder if it's starting to catch up with them now.
Crowd in the game here. A rare sellout in Indianapolis. Saxon picks up the football but falls down and then gets up and gets it back to the 34-yard line. Terrific second effort by James Saxon, the 7th-year fullback out of San Jose State. Derwin Gray made the stop for the Colts. Tomorrow night, one woman has the magic to reunite a father and son. It's a holiday wish come true. Katharine Hepburn, Henry Winkler, and Swoosie Kurtz star in the world premiere movie One Christmas. Tomorrow night at 9, 8 Central on NBC.
It's a good-looking cast. Henry Winkler, Kate Hepburn.
Swoosie Kurtz taking time out from her regular role in Sisters. Marino and company now with first down at the 35-yard line. They start with the screen. Parmalee has 12. Grant and Belser made the stop for the Colts.
I wonder if people are starting to anticipate this.
It has an air of inevitability about it.
You and I mentioned that a long time, about the middle of the second quarter, that this is what it would come down to. But with 7:35 and the clock running, plenty of time.
29 times in his Miami Dolphin career, according to Dolphin statisticians, Marino has brought this team from behind to win in the fourth quarter. On first down, the throw is complete to McDuffie, and McDuffie will move the chains again as he takes it to the Colt 41. Eugene Daniel covering and stopping it.
Well, you wouldn't say that Dan Marino owns the fourth quarter, but he certainly has major stock in it. Take a look at that efficiency rating in his fourth quarter passing. 9 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. Look at the 3 things that are best in the AFC. He certainly turns it up a notch, as they say, in the lexicon of the football coaches when it comes to that last period.
The one against the Jets a few weeks ago in the Meadowlands was memorable, as have been many, many others. Jackson. He's down to the 13-yard line.
Completely blown coverage in the middle of the secondary for the Colts. Take a look in the middle and watch Jeff Herrod right in the middle. Now watch Keith Jackson comes underneath. He just lets him go, and he goes the other direction. And as a result, Jackson is wide open on the other side of the field, setting up the Dolphins at the 13-yard line. Bad decision-making on the part of the Colts.
And to give credit where credit is due, I said earlier that Jackson is not known as a great blocker in the running game. On the other hand, that's his job right there. He is one of the true deep threats among tight ends ever to have played this game. On first down, Parmalee has a gain of a couple near the 10.
I would agree with you there. Keith Jackson, outstanding pass-catching tight end. Remember back in 1988 when he came into the National Football League, had 81 catches as a rookie. And of course, as a free agent acquisition today, he just broke the record, tight end reception record by Bruce Hardy of the Miami Dolphins. Terrific player and somebody who comes up with a number of clutch catches, despite the fact that he has struggled this year with a couple of drops.
Yeah, but Marino still has enormous confidence in him. He ignores the drops and looks for Jackson's many big plays. On second down, 8. He throws in the flat to Parmalee, and Parmalee's inside the 5 before Buchanan takes him out of bounds. They need to get it to the 3 for a first down, and Parmalee's close.
Wave of wideouts tried to clear the area for Parmalee, and Buchanan comes up quickly, but the stiff arm by Parmalee gets him just a little bit closer. Now they're going to set up with a situation. Interesting call here. This is where Marino could be tremendously effective with a 3 tight end. He's going to call timeout and talk it over with Shula.
Third down, less than a yard to go for a Dolphin first down. 4 yards to go for a touchdown. They trail 10-6 with 4:49 remaining in Indianapolis. We're back live in the RCA Dome where the Dolphins have trailed for most of the game and still trailed the Colts 10-6 with 4:49 to go. Patriots won earlier today. 6th straight win brings them to 9-6. They would be tied for first place in the AFC East with the Dolphins if Marino and company can't pull this one out. But a victory clinches the division championship for Miami. Third down, 1 at the 4. And Bernie Parmalee has the first down. Jeff Herrod makes the stop for the Colts.
In the decision-making process, when Dan Marino went over to the sidelines, Jim, he chatted with Gary Stevens and Don Shula about what they wanted to do in terms of whether or not they go with play action. That's what sets Dan Marino apart. Numerous times you've seen him go play action, 3rd and 1, and get a big play. Instead here, they opted to go with the run, taking out the 3 tight ends, spreading the field, and getting the first down.
Now let's see if I was premature. If this mark was not generous, they may be short of the first down. And they are.
Wow.
By that much.
Well, this is 4-down territory. There's 4:34 remaining in the game. Certainly they could kick a field goal and hope that their defense holds, but they have so much confidence in Dan Marino and what he can do with this offense. Don't be surprised, Jim. Do not be surprised here if on 4th and short they don't go with a little play action.
So tighten the pressure one more notch. Don Shula standing up from his golf cart despite the surgically repaired Achilles tendon. Doc, don't look. The coach isn't supposed to do that. 4th down and inches. It looked as though Parmalee had gotten the first down. The mark was not terribly generous.
Once again, the mark's going to be crucial, Jim. And that's what all the jawing is about.
If the chain stretches beyond the football, the Dolphins' only consolation is that they still have 4 minutes, 10 seconds. This time, I think he's got it, Todd.
I think he does, too. It's such an inexact science.
It's a totally inexact science, which has to be frustrating for players on both sides of the ball.
So close.
Parmalee got less than a ball length. It was enough to get the first down.
In effect, you're exactly right. Take a look from the side and let's see where the ball actually gets to. He gets stood up right there at about the 3-yard line. Boy, I don't know about that, Jim. I think the Colts have a beef.
How can you not reward the defenders for making a perfect play? But nevertheless, the Dolphins are alive with 1st and goal at the 2-yard line. 8th play of the drive. Marino looking for the 30th fourth-quarter comeback victory of his Dolphin career. Boy, that's a terrific play by David Tate at the corner on Parmalee.
It really is. It looked for all intents and purposes that he just run over him and head into the end zone. Watch number 49 come up and make the stick and make 30 go backwards. Parmalee right here. Oh, that looks like a touchdown. No. Tate is able to bring him back, and I believe underneath that was Buchanan.
Colts are looking for another strong defensive back in the offseason, but they've got 2 with whom to build in Buchanan and Tate. Don Shula still standing up.
And you got to figure here, this is the opportunity for play action simply because if they don't get a run here on 2nd down, then everybody in the park's going to know that they're going to throw on 3rd.
Marino wants Jackson, can't get him. Now finally throws it out of the end zone. Great coverage all the way.
And they did go to Jackson, but the Colts anticipated. The Colts were all over it, and now you can see the frustration of Dan Marino. Watch Keith Jackson. Play action. He's not fooling anybody with that fake block, and certainly not Jason Belzer, who's all over him. Colts in pursuit. Marino has to throw it away.
No hand checking in the NBA, but Belzer was playing football.
Now you would have to figure exactly this. You see the people coming in and out. The Dolphins are going to go to their 3 wide receiver package, but Marino doesn't like whatever it is, and he calls timeout.
Dolphins will have 1 timeout remaining. 2 minutes, 54 seconds on the clock.
Well, now, I think this is a situation now where Don Shula just flat out has to decide if this is 4-down territory. Because earlier, I'm not sure that they were thinking that it was 4-down territory when they had over 4 minutes left. Now with 2:54 left, this could really adjust their play calling. They really could go with a 3 tight end set, run it 2 different times, and really surprise everyone, because now everybody's got to be thinking that they're going to throw the ball. A run here would completely surprise the Colt defense rather, if they had the 3 wide receiver package.
Credit the Colts with a tremendous effort today. This is a series which has been dominated by the Dolphins. Shula, against his former team, the Colts, has won 36 of 50 times with the Dolphins, including 8 of the last 10 and the last 4 in a row.
Now, all the time we talk about running and putting the ball in the hands of Marino, I have to wonder here if Don Shula and Gary Stevens didn't say, okay, here are the 2 plays we want under the assumption that the first one doesn't work.
It is 3rd down. Ingram was the intended receiver. Ashley Ambrose was there on the coverage, and Shula must make a 4th down decision.
You just saw it. He waved his hands. He said, we're going. Gary Stevens already has the play that he wants, and he gave it to Bernie Bernie Kosar to tell to Dan Marino, and that is a very animated Dan Marino right there, who's putting his hands over his ears. Stop talking, because he wants to know exactly what it is he's going to do here on the biggest play of the game.
Colts are going to play with 6 defensive backs, Todd.
That's contemporary football.
But does it tempt the Dolphins to run the ball?
With Dan Marino, I don't think so.
Marino hits Ingram in the helmet, but it's incomplete.
That was the very play right there, Jim, that they utilized against the Jets, surprising them, making it look like the fade route and coming back. And Ashley Ambrose, who was not a starter, who is the nickelback, has come up with some absolutely huge plays. This is the identical play that they used to defeat the Jets at the Meadowlands earlier with that great fourth quarter comeback that you had mentioned. Ingram is going to look like he's running the fade, then stop. But Ambrose is right there, right in front of him, and they battle a little bit contact. He's screaming for the flag, but the official rightly says no. Take a look at Marino's reaction when he sees the ball is incomplete. Stephen Grant all over him. Great stand, as you mentioned, Jim, by the Colt defense.
Dolphins had the football for 12 plays, 5 minutes, 23 seconds, got no points. Now they have only 1 timeout remaining as the Colts prepare to try to move from their 2 with 2:47 to go. Now you can see that Keith Jackson fell down as he tried to leave the line of scrimmage, but I think Ingram was the intended receiver all the way.
And I also think that Tony Bennett might have gotten a finger on that ball.
And now Harbaugh wants timeout, leaving the Colts with 2 remaining as he comes off the field to talk to Ted Marchibroda and the Indianapolis offensive staff. High drama in the RCA Dome.
Jackson stayed in to block, but he doesn't do a good enough job on Bennett. Look at Tony Bennett. He shucks Jackson. Watch the left hand. Look at his pinky finger. Just gets a piece of the ball. Look at how the spiral gets altered. Still, you could consider that was a catchable ball, but give credit to Ambrose and the defense. What a stand by the Colts, Jim.
Only once before in 22 meetings have the Colts held Dan Marino without a touchdown pass. That was in a game here 5 years ago in 1989. They've got a chance to duplicate the feat today. Falk on first down from the 2 is stopped by Klingbeil and Owens. And the clock stops as a flag goes down. That's a tremendous break for the Dolphins, unless it's against them.
Tim Bowens made a rookie mistake here, Jim. He tries to anticipate the count. What good does it do here necessarily to get, well, I understand the good that it would do to get a safety, but watch number 95 in his anticipation try to make the big play. Clearly offside. Boy, that's a bad mistake by Bowens in the defense for the Dolphins.
Break for Indianapolis. Moves the football to the 7. Makes it first down, 5 yards to go. Only 4 seconds ran off the clock.
And what that also does, Jim, it gives them another down, and now after this play is over with, they can let it run to the 2-minute warning.
Coleman makes the stop against Falk, and it'll be second down.
Except the clock has stopped again. I believe the Dolphins just used their last timeout.
They did. As soon as this one is over, and assuming that it ends in regulation time, we're hoping to take it to the conclusion of that Cleveland-Pittsburgh game, in which the Steelers are trying to nail down home field advantage in the playoffs, and the Browns are trying to overhaul the Steelers for leadership in the AFC Central.
Blue-collar game, absolutely huge, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. That's an absolute monster, and I listened to Bill Cowher on NFL Live describe the magnitude of that game and what it means to those respective communities. That record right there says it all, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. The winner is going to have the front runner to the Central Division title.
You see what the records say, Todd. In your view, are the Steelers and the Browns the 2 best teams in the AFC?
I think at this point you'd have to say so. San Diego, earlier, if you'd asked me a month ago, I would have said San Diego, but they have really struggled. And I think that right now, certainly, they're the 2 best teams in the AFC, and maybe, Jim, the 2 best defenses in all of the NFL.
But are they too limited offensively, both Cleveland and Pittsburgh, to be a viable threat to an NFC team if it's San Francisco or Dallas in the Super Bowl?
Well, here's the issue where that's concerned, Jim. Think about this. Since 1980, some of the quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls, names like Jim Plunkett, Mark Rippon, Doug Williams, Jeff Hostetler, you don't necessarily have to have the guy that's headed to the Hall of Fame to get you there. I think O'Donnell could conceivably win a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Second down 6 for Falk and the Colts. Marshall needs to get it to the 12 for a first down. Michael Stewart makes the stop as Falk gets about to the 10. And now the clock rolls toward the 2-minute warning.
Well, he just did something that Walter Payton used to do. When he's down on the ground, he leans the ball forward. And Walter would be one of the first guys to tell you that amongst his 16,726 yards, a couple of hundred of those is because when he went down, he leaned the ball forward. Falk tried to do the same thing, but Fisher said, we're not giving you that extra yard.
So the clock reaches 2-0. When we come back, the Colts will have 3rd and 1. Don Shula looking on from his golf cart on the sideline at the RCA Dome as the game becomes, for this moment, one play. Indianapolis Colts have 3rd down 1 at their 11. If they can convert this first down, they should be able to hold the football and run out the clock. If they can't, then the Dolphins would have a chance to win, but Falk makes the play past Michael Stewart.
Now look at it, he's upset with himself, and boy, Don Shula is not very happy with Tom Olivadotti with the contain. But that's what you got to do when you have somebody with that speed. They cut to the outside. The blocking isn't particularly great, and Michael Stewart has an opportunity to make the play. But the great speed of Marshall Faulk on the stiff arm right there enables him to get the first down. He's upset with himself that he didn't stay in bounds, but I'm sure that they prefer the first down, and you can see that. Hey, what's the deal with that? What's the deal with the contain? Don Shula not happy about it.
Now Harbaugh takes a knee, and the clock begins to roll, and Colt fans stand to applaud, mostly for their defensive unit, which put forth a phenomenal effort today.
Jim, you're absolutely right, and I think it's a real credit to this organization because they've been down for so long, struggled over the last couple of years. Clearly, this was a game where they could have come in and say, hey, no big deal. Sure, we have playoff opportunities, but what's the point? And they come out here against a team who, quite frankly, was very hot. Everybody talked about the Super Bowl chances of the Miami Dolphins after their big win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Give the Colts credit for coming in here, dominating the game, defeating the Dolphins.
Dolphins will drop into an AFC East first-place tie with the red-hot Patriots. 1 week to go in the season. And we're going to take you to Cleveland, Pittsburgh, where the Steelers are leading 17-7 with 6 minutes to go in the football game at my last opportunity to check. Paul Butcher on the sideline holding his helmet up to the crowd, and the crowd responding as Mark Shabroda's Colts are going to spring a huge upset here.
And Ted Marchibroda really is the happiest man here in the stadium. 63-year-old, very nice man. Doesn't seem to be terribly emotional, but he said that the team would come out and give a great effort, that it was important to them to win these last 2 games.
Dolphins have clinched their playoff berth, but this loss will hurt them dramatically as they attempt to secure at least some home field participation in postseason. So Don Shula's former franchise denies him his chance to move past George Halas as the all-time leader in regular season wins. That has to wait at least 1 more week. And now we're going to take you to the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game, where Charlie Jones and Randy Cross are calling as Pittsburgh has led into the 4th quarter, and we'll pick it up when we get there. A final look at the